everybody. Shalom. If you hear a little rustling in the background, it's because my puppy's in her crate back there. I know a lot of people, they bring their dogs with them places and they leave them loose in the car. But I heard a story of someone who did that all the time, and then they got in a car accident. And hold on a second. There we go. And they, their dog actually went through the windshield. Had to have, they did surgery and everything on the dog. So I was like, nah, not gonna happen with me. Just gonna keep her in a crate, secure. Put a seatbelt even over the crate sometimes when I remember. But anyways, if you hear rustling, she's back there. It's almost Valentine's Day, and I know a lot of you don't even celebrate Valentine's Day because you talk about, especially the Messianic community, there's this understanding of it's not biblical, so we just don't celebrate, which is fine. And I'm not bringing this up necessarily for if you celebrate it. I'm bringing it up because statistically, it is one of the saddest days of the year. And the reason for that is because not everybody has a sweetheart, and it's an emphasis on love, whether it be that they just don't have one, or they had one and they lost their love. Maybe they've been married 40, 50, 60 years and they passed away. So it's, it's a hard time for a lot of people. And one of the things I've learned is how to love myself in greater ways than I ever did before, and be kind to myself. Something I really have had to work on is that some of us have also gone through childhood trauma, and even loss of a loved one it's a trauma. It is a trauma. Might not be diagnosed as PTSD, although some people do get that. But it's still a trauma. A coworker of mine, we were talking about loss, and she was saying that after she lost her son, she used to remember people's names all the time, and after she lost her son, she couldn't remember people's names very well, not as easily, And for me, after I lost my mom, I started to realize something that was very frustrating to me, was that I found it even more difficult to concentrate. But I also had a hard time already concentrating to some extent when I had my mom, because of certain traumas that I'd already had, so I'd space out. But it got worse after I lost my mom, and it's thank God. I mean, I can hold a job. It's not like a disability where I can't keep a job, but it's still frustrating sometimes when I'm listening to someone and I want to hear everything they have to say, but I lose concentration about halfway through the conversation, not because I don't care, but it's just part of that trauma reaction. And as a result, too, relationships, whether just friendships or even just, relationships, can be strained when you've gone through trauma. And I used to think there was something really wrong with me and that I had a lot of problems. But no, my reactions and feelings are normal to the things I've gone through. But not everybody, though this is the part to understand, not everybody is equipped to handle someone who has gone through a trauma, how they react. So for example, like I stress cry, right? I cry when I'm stressed, I cry when I feel overwhelmed, and that can be, a big part of that can be from trauma. And even if you get counseling and help, it's something that's always part of you. You can heal from a trauma, but you'll never forget it. You know what I mean? And so I've learned in myself that I was triggered by even just, friends, people I know, people I care about, if their voice raised a little bit, if they started talking in such a way to put pressure on me, even if it was positive pressure, that I get overwhelmed. I get that I have gotten that way, and my reaction might be to just shut down, turn away. It's like a survival mechanism, And not because I don't want to trust, not because I don't want to be okay with even someone raising their voice a little bit, but it's just the way it is. I have to be kind to myself, because that's, that's how I am. And so, for a lot of you out there who've gone through trauma, I don't want you, during this Valentine's Day, maybe you have found someone who's understanding, but if you haven't, I just want to encourage you that there are really gentle, soft-spoken, patient people out in the world who are willing to be your friend and to be there for you, even when you have like an emotional meltdown, or you have you just can't trust as much as you'd like. They're patient enough to understand what you've gone through, and instead of pushing you away and being offended, they are there to embrace you and to love you more in those moments when you feel fear and anxiety, because they recognize that you've gone through trauma and it's not their fault, and that they don't need to be, they don't need to be offended by any of that. I got a postman in front of me and I can't see over the hill, so I'm gonna have to stop right here. I would go around him if I could, but I can't see. Anyways, I'm just wanting to share this because I don't want anybody to be sad, any of my friends to be sad, any people I know to be sad during this time. I'm not going to be sad, because here's the other thing, beloved ones, and I know I've said this before. No one in the world, even the most greatest love you've ever experienced, a mother's love, of a good mother, I know there's some not so good mothers, but a mother's love, none of that you've ever experienced can compare to the love that God has for you. I mean, think about that. Let that sink in for a while. Nothing that you have experienced, the most amazing relationship, the most amazing love, none of that can compare to the love of God. It's unconditional, it's perfect, even when you are not perfect. The Lord Himself is that anchor that you've always needed and wanted. He's your best friend. And so keep that in mind when you're thinking, I wish I had someone to spend this Valentine's with, or this love day with, whatever you want to call it. Everybody else has got someone, or maybe not everybody's got someone. There are a lot of people in the world who are very much alone, but you don't have to feel alone. God is with you. He is the lover of your soul. And I know maybe that's hard to translate to the guys, but I think the guys understand. I know guys who love the Lord understand what kind of love it is. It's the lover of your soul. It's deeper than anything you've ever experienced with anyone. It's an assurance. It's a crazy, unconditional love that God has for you. And again, though, if you experience trauma and you don't know, you're feeling like, I don't know if I can be loved, if I'm lovable. Yes, you are. You are lovable. It's just that not everybody can understand, not everybody wants to understand, not everybody is able to handle that for the rest of their lives, that being with someone who has dealt with trauma and therefore has some trust issues. But that's okay, because there are people who do. There are people in the world who understand. There are people who are wanting to understand because they love you. They're wanting to go the extra mile. They're wanting to take the extra beating. Not talking about like you beating them, but that hard stuff, hard heart stuff. There are people that exist because they understand that you have gone through trauma. So, just want to share all that, and that I love you all, and I hope that when this day comes, that you're just filled with so much joy and love and peace, because you are loved just as you are, just as unique as you are. Okay? Got it? Good. Shalom, shalom.